In Venezuela, Attorney General Tarek William Saab reported 51 new arrests linked to different corruption schemes under investigation. Latin American and Caribbean presidents agreed to promote measures to tackle inflation in the region and guarantee the supply of basic goods. And in Palestine, at least 400 people were arrested after new Israeli aggression in the AlAqsa mosque. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Wednesday, the Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, reported 51 new arrests linked to different corruption schemes under investigation. According to the Attorney General of Venezuela, the arrests were made on the grounds of corruption charges related to fraud schemes in Petróleos de Venezuela, PDVSA, Venezuela's national oil company, also Corporación Venezolana de Guayana, and Cartones de Venezuela. Likewise, Tarek William Saab stressed that the national and international community must know about the battle that the government of President Nicolás Maduro is carrying out against fraud in the country. Saab also indicated that to date there are 34 people arrested for their involvement in the PDVSA crypto plot.
And today, I must say, that the hearing for the presentation of the new detainees presented before the competent body ended at 6 a.m. At 6 a.m. today. We were up to that hour with the prosecutors who have assigned for this task monitoring, keeping the pulse of this historical, let's put it this way, action led by the Public Prosecutor's Office, I repeat, as the head of the legal action, and which obviously has had, because it is always good to remember it, as the maximum leader of the findings, together with us, the head of state, President Nicolás Maduro Moros, who has been following closely each and every one of these new findings.
Latin American and Caribbean presidents agreed to promote measures to tackle inflation in the region and guarantee the supply of basic goods to the people. The heads of states of Mexico, Venezuela, Bolivia, Argentina, Cuba, Chile, Honduras, Belize, Brazil, and Colombia highlighted the need for an international financial system that allows the countries of the region to have access to the necessary resources to improve the conditions of foreign indebtedness and promote the economic recovery and food security of the peoples of the region. Likewise, they also decided to join efforts to guarantee economic growth and development in the face of inflationary pressures on the basic food basket, intermediate goods, and services that negatively affect the continental economy. On Wednesday, at least 5 people died after a large tornado ripped through Southeastern Missouri. Sheriff Casey Graham of Bollinger County confirmed the death in a Facebook post and said that search and rescue operations were still underway. Additionally, Graham said that 2 communities were hit with what seems to be a significant tornado. The Missouri State Highway Patrol said the damage was widespread and crews were still working to assess the impact of the scene. Central and southern regions of the United States have had an onslaught of bad weather recently, including destructive tornadoes and blizzards that hammered multiple states last week and the week before, leaving at least 58 people dead across the country. In view of the current threat of the Nevado Ruiz volcano, the Director of Geohazards of the Colombian Geological Service, John Macario Londoño, recalled that currently the activity prevails in orange alert, with the risk of a possible eruption.
It is important to remember that we are in level orange. This state of activity implies that there may be a probable eruption in terms of days or week. It does not necessarily have to happen, but there is a high probability of occurrence. It is important to mention this because we cannot make false expectations that in a week we are going to change the level. No. This level will prevail for several weeks as the volcano changes and we can analyze its activity and make a decision whether we prevail at that level or we can lower it. But the opposite may also happen. We may have to adjust the level to red if conditions change or if an eruption occurs.
The death toll from a major landslide on March 26 in the town of AlAqsa in the Ecuadorian province of Chimborazo rose to 30. In a statement, the Ecuadorian Prosecutor's Office confirmed the information on Wednesday, adding that After their respective identification, the bodies recovered will be handed over to their relatives for a proper burial. Meanwhile, the Risk Management Secretariat reported on its official Twitter account that technicians and firefighters remain at the scene working on positioning control points to monitor the behavior of the affected area in AlAqsa. The latest update from the Secretariat revealed that at least 163 homes were destroyed or damaged by the landslide, while 61 people are still missing. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at teleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back from the South. In Peru on Wednesday, relatives of victims demanded justice through a press conference for all those who have died or have been seriously injured due to police repression in the country. Relatives expressed their condolences for all the fatal victims of police repression in demonstrations against the government of Dina Boluarte. In this sense, they rejected the violent acts committed by the security forces of the nation against demonstrators. On the other hand, they recalled the days in which some of their relatives were murdered and highlighted the number of wounded that have been left in the nation. More than 60 people have died during the repression exercised by the public forces during the days of protest, more than 19 in Juliaca, that's January, without there being an authority responsible for the crimes in investigations that are literally frozen.
Today, many of them are convalescing. We have more than 300 wounded, but only in centers and hospitals there are about 253. But we have more than 300 who have not been revealed because many of them have been treated at home or in private clinics.
On the other hand, citizens demanded that the competent authorities do justice and apply sanctions against the prosecutors and human rights agents in the country for leaving unpunished many of the violent acts.
We request the National Prosecutor Office to reinforce the Human Rights Prosecutor Office in the jurisdiction where they have already been installed and are fully operational. And this would be the fourth time that the prosecutor has been changed, and this is leading to impunity for those responsible for the massacres.
During a meeting at Russia Security Council, President Vladimir Putin spoke about the current situation in the territories that voted in referendum to join the Federation. The leaders of the new territories were present in the meeting.
The situation in these regions remains tense. The Kiev regime continues to commit serious crimes against civilians. Living there spares no one, expose cities and towns to rocket attacks, artillery, mortar attacks. Terror attacks are carried out against government officials and law enforcement agencies, journalists, public figures, school and university teachers, and neo-Nazis and their accomplices act not only on the territory of the new regions of the Federation, but also commit crimes in other regions.
During the meeting, Marcus Nolan, Deputy Prime Minister, referred to the reconstruction works on the way in the areas that were affected by the conflict. On this same issue, the Russian president explained that the objective is to deliver the works as soon as possible.
More than 300 kilometers of roads were built and reconstructed from Crimea to Rostov-on-Don, which provided us with an independent transport route apart from the Crimean Bridge. I would like to note the grave role of the National Guard in protecting the facilities. Not only did we build and restore bridges, but all objects were taken under control. We built the necessary bypass pipeline in Melitopol, 72 kilometers, thus creating a gas supply system independent of the Ukrainian one.
The goal is to do everything possible to integrate this historical Russian lands of Donbass, Novorossiya into the economic, legal and educational space of our country as soon as possible. And already now, under difficult conditions, housing, roads, educational, cultural, sanitary facilities, industrial and agricultural enterprises are being actively restored.
Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko in Moscow on Wednesday. The meeting took place on the eve of the meeting of the Supreme State Council of the United States scheduled for April 6. Russia and Belarus, through joint efforts, have achieved good results both in the international arena and in the solution of security issues of the two states, Vladimir Putin said. On March 25th, Putin issued new threats against Western countries supporting Ukraine, announcing an agreement with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko to deploy tactical nuclear weapons in the country.
I must say that a lot has been done as a result of our joint work in all areas. Tomorrow, I repeat, we will discuss all this. This also applies to our interaction in the international arena, to jointly solve issues of ensuring the security of our states, but of course, it is especially gratifying to know the results of our work in the economic sphere. I must say
We didn't
as a
collapse.
result of our
Yes, it won't be easy. Well, when was it easy? We will endure and do everything, even in microelectronics, about which you and I met about a year ago in your office and discussed what we should do. It turns out that there is an opportunity to work in this sphere. Missiles fly and military equipment moves both in our and your country. So we will overcome everything. We just need some time.
teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, dial 461, and enjoy Latin American alternative broadcasts. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In Palestine, at least 400 people were arrested after a new Israeli aggression in the AlAqsa mosque amidst worldwide condemnation by Muslim governments and people. On Wednesday, Israeli forces brutally stormed the AlAqsa mosque for a second consecutive day with stun grenades, tear gas bombs, clubs, and rifles. At the same time, a third Israeli attack was registered in the city of al-Fam, where at least 6 young Palestinians were injured. The Israeli persecution has caused significant damage to public infrastructure and has left more than 300 Palestinians wounded in the last 2 days. The Israeli assault against worshippers coincides with the celebration of Ramadan during the month of fasting in the Islamic lunar calendar, a time when every year Israel ramps up its violence against Palestinians. At the same time, the United Nations also condemned the Israeli aggression against hundreds of Muslim worshippers in the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. In this regard, the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process, Tor Wennesland, expressed concern about the Israeli siege against the Palestinian people and urged the parties to reject incitement, inflammatory rhetoric, and provocative actions, as well as to maintain the status quo of the holy sites in Jerusalem. The Arab League condemned on Wednesday the assault by Israeli forces on Al-Aqsa, Jerusalem. Arab League members held an emergency meeting in Cairo after Israeli forces raided Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque during the holy Islamic month of Ramadan. Palestinian militant group Hamas called on West Bank Palestinians to flock to the Al-Aqsa Mosque to defend it. The East Jerusalem Mosque, illegally annexed by Israel, is Islam's third holiest site. It is built on what Jews call the Temple Mount, the holiest site in Judaism. Jordan's representative at the Arab League, Ahmad al-Dalayeh, says his country condemns any Israeli steps that affects the sanctity of all of Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Jordan rejects and condemns any Israeli steps that would affect the sanctity of the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque and stresses its unwavering demands to stop all measures aimed at changing the historical and legal status of the city of Jerusalem and its sanctities.
Solidarity is one of the most outstanding characteristics of the Syrian people. Although this virtue is present throughout the year, it is at its strongest point during Ramadan, the Muslim month of fasting. Let's take a look.
No to Hunger is a charitable initiative of the civil association side. It is one of the many humanitarian activities that take place during Ramadan. This work is carried out by hundreds of young volunteers from all regions' backgrounds in Syrian society. They do it with their own resources and with the support of the Syrian people and government.
This is humanitarian work that we do on a voluntary basis as part of the culture of solidarity that characterizes our people, so that, with the support of the authorities, we can help many unfortunate families during this holy month. We do this with our own resources and with the support of donors from civil society who increases humanitarian response capacity.
This is the 11th year of the No to Hunger initiative. Every day, the Saed Association offers free food to the needy people. This year, in addition to those affected by the war and the blockade, the initiative will also reach hundreds of families affected by the earthquake of 6th February.
Since the earthquake, volunteers from our association have been in Aleppo helping affected families and providing more than 12,000 daily food rations to fasting people and those in temporary shelters, with the aim of reaching 50,000 portions per day. And here in Damascus, we are also providing more than 4,500 meals per day.
In all the country's provinces, as in Damascus, charities are carrying out important humanitarian operations. Iftar al-Rahman, another social solidarity initiative, offers a free meal to earthquake-affected families in the coastal province of Latakia at the time of breaking fast.
The earthquake that struck the province of Latakia has tripled the number of people in need, who are also suffering from the effects of war and the blockade. That is why these charitable initiatives are particularly important in the difficult circumstances that the country is going through. And we, on behalf of the authorities, offer all the necessary support for the success of this initiative, which have a great human impact during Ramadan.
In the midst of the unjust blockade imposed on my beloved homeland Syria and the so-called Caesar Act of criminal and inhumane U.S. sanctions, we are having a hard time securing the necessary food materials to prepare the food rations we offer to the ones in need, but we are still working and managing as much as possible to alleviate the suffering of our affected brothers and sisters.
Ramadan is kind. This is the word used by Muslims to describe the month of fasting. Ramadan is a month of generosity, a generosity that is manifested in initiatives and acts of solidarity that contribute to the consolidation of the Syrian people's steadfastness in the face of the current difficult situation that their country is going through.
teleSUR, Damascus, Syria.
We have come to the end of this news brief, and you can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.